trust yourself and be true to yourself. Don't lie to yourself, and give it all you got. Don't wait for someone to give you an opportunity. Don't wait for someone to say this is how you do it. Don't wait for someone to give you validation. Like it's honestly up to you, and it goes a long way, because there'll be people who will come and say you're good, and then there'll be people who will come and say, yeah, you're okay. But if like deep down inside, I've put in my hours, I know how many times a day I train, I know I'm eating right, I know I'm doing this, I know I'm doing that, you're good.
To see things in a way that, in retrospect, or a few years later, when they're looking back at it, they realize that.
Today's guest is a very talented actor, dancer, and an entrepreneur. He runs his own company, the Sands Group, and also an amazing foundation, the Ndlovu Foundation. Welcome to Conversations with Mpho Hungani Ndlovu.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, man.
Welcome.
That was a nice intro.
Hungani, tell me a bit about yourself. I mean, you've had quite an interesting journey.
Where do I start? Well, yeah. So I'm an actor. I dance. I've studied presenting, but I'm no presenter yet. I started Sands Group, which is an artist development studio, and like our main focus there is to help people hone their craft. I think that's one of the ways to help the industry get better. And then we have the Ndlovu Foundation, which is still like at its infant stage, I would say, which is basically like a youth empowerment organization where we run a Saturday school in El Dorado Park. We have clothing initiatives that we do. We do a little bit of mentoring. We do a lot of school talks, church talks. And then there's another organization called Matrix Men that I'm part director of, which is basically where we counsel and support male victims of abuse. So that's in a very quick nutshell, the things that I put my hands in, yeah.
Very inspirational stuff. I mean, let's talk about Sands Group, right?
Yeah.
That's doing quite well. It's growing.
Yeah.
What was the main inspiration behind starting it?
So I studied in LA for acting and dancing and stuff. And in my 3 years there were a lot of places that offered drop-in classes, which basically like, it's not a course, it's not a part-time, nothing, literally.
The American model where you go in,
yeah,
it's a soul cycle, or it's
and
whatever
that's,
the case is.
So I really enjoyed that because it allowed me to meet a lot of new people all the time, and also work with different teachers. So I was never like set in a certain way, because like teachers have their way of teaching, and like you gravitate towards that as the student. So being afforded like multiple different teachers because of drop-in classes was really cool. So I thought, hey, now that I'm back home, how's about, and then I couldn't find a place that was offering that. So then I thought, well, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who would be interested in this. And I took the leap and started Sands Group. It didn't work out too good for the first, like the first year was just tough, man. Cause
what about the toughness?
Well, I wasn't on screen, so no one knew me from a TV perspective.
I see.
And like a lot of people in our country are very, who are you? Why should I learn from you? And whether I was doing theater and all these other things, it didn't matter, because people want someone who is relevant, so to speak, because it seems as if that person knows what they're doing because they are relevant.
Would you say that relevance in South Africa versus, I mean, you saw the model in the United States, in LA. Would you say in LA things are different? That people are not relevant because they're on TV, but more relevant because of their talent?
In fact, people appreciate the people that are not so relevant, because those are the people that are doing the real, authentic, like hard work. Not to say that people who are famous are not doing hard work, but it's like there's dancers who put in so much work in training every single day compared to dancers who are just hustling to get gigs all the time, right? Not to say that there's anything wrong with the two, but there's a difference between someone who's like really concerned about their craft versus someone who's just chasing the money because they have the talent. You know, so it's that thing of like, no, I want to learn from that guy that's like, yo, every day I wake up 6 o'clock for the first 2 hours, I'm in my room and I'm doing whatever I need to do to get this thing perfect. As compared to someone who's just like, okay, cool, which brand can I hit up? Which okay,
shortcut route.
Yeah, you know, and that's why you also see a lot of people end up just doing dance videos to the most popular songs all the time because they know that will give them some clout instead of like, what about just going back to like a Earth, Wind and Fire song and you just like kill that? But because it's not a popular thing to do,
people don't want to engage in it.
Yes, and stuff like that.
Do you find that now things are changing, or do you still find that we're still in the same place in the South African entertainment industry?
I would say there's some growth. I think there's a lot more people interested in training, which is really cool. But we still have a long way to go.
Yeah. And how's the business now? I mean, from where you started with all the growth pains and everything, how are things now?
Look, the space that we're in right now, this is probably 3 times the size of our first studio. Like our first studio, it wasn't even like a 5x5. It was like maybe 3x4. Like it was so small. And we didn't even have any windows. Like the minute there's like 5 people, it was packed. Like you couldn't put more people. And shout out to everybody that was like coming to Sans Group in 2016, because that was just like, yo, people. Like you guys, if it wasn't for you, and now like we started from Maboneng, moved to Newtown, and now we're in Parkhurst, which is like really, really cool. The space in Parkhurst is just so awesome, man. And it's brought upon like a lot of new ideas and new ventures that we can go into, and partnerships that were just not even a thought. Like I see an email and I'm just like, no. This is spam. This can't be real. So I'm very, very grateful, and like the main focus is still about the people and the knowledge. So we're just still trying to find a way to still keep like our rates low, because I mean, moving to Parkhurst comes with its own expenses.
Yeah.
But our main focus is keeping our rates low so that it's accessible to a lot of people. So it gets it's a little tricky right now. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little tricky, like trying to find that balance. But yeah, like I'm not trying to switch up what we started, because that's like the reason why we started. So we have to stick to that, but find a way around the new developments that are happening.
I definitely need to come through for a dance class.
Yeah, come through. In fact, we have one on the 29th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, cool. No, definitely. I'll make it a point that I come through.
Cool.
And learn a few things.
Yeah.
And in terms of coming through to the classes, is it, I mean, I'm sure you've got levels in terms of, you know, the pros and then just beginners and then people who are just looking to just enjoy themselves and learn something new.
Yeah.
How do you cater to all that? Is it all in the same class? Is it?
So we used to have a beginner's class and then a intermediate advanced class after the beginner's class. But then we scrapped that, and now we just have one class, which caters for everyone. So they basically, how the class works is, in the beginning, we do some foundation work, which is part of our warm-up, which then beginners will fully be invested in that. And then we go into choreography, which is part of the advanced intermediate. So then for a beginner, that could possibly be quite challenging. But it also just helps to kind of like just integrate everything together, and allow people to not feel, I don't like when people feel segregated in a way like, oh, I'm a beginner, so I must be in this class. Not to say there's anything wrong with that for those who are running beginner stuff, you know, but I just found that when we started putting it together, it just helped people who were still beginners and seeing people who are advanced in the same class. It kind of like motivated them to want to get to that level instead of being around just beginners.
Makes sense, yeah.
So it's like that whole thing of being in class and there's that one person who's always summa cum laude, there's that A student, there's that, and then there's me chilling, D student, and I'm just like, man, I want to be like
to that level.
Stuart or whoever his name is. So there you go. So right now we just have one class, which has kind of been working really well. So yeah.
That's interesting. And in terms of you actually running your business and you actually doing your passion, which is dancing and acting, how do you manage the two? Because I can imagine they can be quite
no sleep. There's hardly any sleep. Damn. So it's hard. I'm not gonna lie. It's really, really hard, and there's really no formula to it. You try different things when you can. If something's not working out, then you think of a different way to approach it. Sometimes I find my energy like going towards maybe the acting quite a bit, and then Sans Group starts to take a shortfall, and then I try and rearrange that. Then all of a sudden I'm giving a lot to Sans Group, and then now my acting. So it's like it's a tug and war of trying to find a balance, but it's a difficult thing, especially because I don't have like a team, you know. Like I just watched Kevin Hart's thingy, and like he's got like almost 30 people that are part of his team, and not to say that takes off a lot of the load, because he still is working a lot, but I think it helps, you know. Like if I had someone who did all my social media, that's like 4 hours of my day that I can now put into something else. If I had someone that would do all my emails, that's another 2 hours of my day that can go to something. So like just like finding, and I'm not saying I'm hiring, please.
Are you telling me you don't have help currently?
No. I mean, we have an intern at Sans Group, but that's it.
You do everything yourself?
Yeah.
From your social media to your videos, you edit your videos yourself, you do everything.
Yep.
And you run the business as well.
Yep.
Wow.
We just recently got an accountant, because I know nothing about accounting. So the team is growing very, very gradually.
And you've got your acting as well. You've got your...
Yeah.
I see why there's no sleep.
Yeah.
I see why there's no sleep.
So, yeah.
This is intense.
You know, it is. It really is. It really is. But
how do you manage all the different aspects? Well, in terms of, did you have to learn to become a jack of all trades, or did this come naturally to you? Like, okay, this is how my video should be looking. This is how.
So my dad is like, my dad hustles. And not in like different areas, but in the specific arena that he's in, which is like construction. And like growing up and seeing him do what he does kind of instilled a lot of the way I operate. And I honestly think it came from there. So like when something happens, like, cool, I'm an actor, then I try and see what other opportunities can come from that, aside from just me acting on stage or on screen. What else can I do? How else can I enrich other people? How else can I grow myself? And then dancing, same thing. Cool, I'm a dancer, but I'm not a working dancer. So how can I make that happen? Oh, now I'm a working dancer. How can I help other dancers to become working dancers? Like it's a revolving thing of like just always trying to see opportunity. It's a very weird thing, because like now we're working on something new that I was just like, we don't do events, guys. And when I say guys, it's myself. That's how I speak to myself. I speak to myself in plural, because I'm hoping one day there'll be a guys.
The 30 Kevin Hart
So
people.
yeah, you know. So literally I'm saying with myself, I'm like, why am I playing an event? Like, we don't do this. And it's happening on the 28th of March. We've got an event happening. And I'm just like, bruh. I don't know. So I think it's partly, or in fact, mostly from my dad. He's like, he goes out there, man.
He's always going for it. Oh, wow, that's inspirational. In terms of you do some amazing work when it comes to charity, when it comes to raising young people, when it comes to teaching young people, and with your foundation as well as the other foundations you're involved with.
Yeah.
What drives that? What brought about?
Seeing people struggle. It's not nice. It's not nice to see people struggle, especially when you've had your own struggles and you happen to have surpassed them, you know, or end up on the other side of that spectrum, and you can look back and be like, oh man, Like those days, like now I get why I had to go through that. Now I get why. But when you see people who are still in that, it's like I know how that felt. You know, I might have not been like at that level or at that level, but I had my own level of being at my lowest. And also just like we are at a time now where there's so much stuff, man. Like there's so many distractions. There's just a lot going on. Just from just having a phone in your hand, you can be doing so much in a space of 6 hours, but in that 6 hours, you don't even read the news, right? So you're not even informed. And I speak this even to myself, right? So it's just the thing of like trying to bring realness and like authenticness to a world that's just full of facades, because everywhere we look, it's edited images, it's filters everywhere, and it's make believe, you know, people going on holidays, but it's a sponsored trip. But now this young little girl looking at that thinks you've got the guap to pay for that. Now they're aspiring to something that you can't even afford, but you're selling. And like, it's a whole lot of misconceptions that are going around. And I just think we're at a place where we just need like clarity, you know, because people are getting like pulled into the wrong directions, and people start thinking being an entertainer is where you're gonna make the most guap, yet we don't even get royalties for the shows that we're on, you know, or little things like that. And it's just like trying to make people understand the struggles that are currently happening, you know, because the real stuff. So that's honestly where it comes from.
I read an article the other day where it was talking about you actually catching yourself every time you're on social media, like doing it consciously. So, and I started just looking at my own habits, and I was like, it's so funny how we've become so unconscious about our social media. Like we just swipe up and then we go to our social media. We don't even, it's not a thing of, I'm now going to go onto Facebook or onto Instagram and look at something. It's like unconscious. You're actually doing it.
It's like your thumb it just gets you there. You just open your phone, or you're like, oh, snap, okay.
And once you're there, you just grabbed on to continue, right? And I was reading, the article goes on to explain that cell phones were actually created to get your attention and to keep it there. You know? So the type of lighting that they would use, the type of filters that are created with the intention to just draw you in. And I then asked myself the question to say, okay, how am I personally going to regulate that social media doesn't become that drug for me?
Right.
You know? And I'm still asking myself that question. I'd want to ask it to you.
So for me, social media is strictly work. Like it's not to make it sound like weird, but there's no personal Hungani when it comes to social media. Social media is purely for work. Me doing the things that I do, posting at certain times, all of that is due to analytics and insights and all of that stuff. And it's purely to either get more followers or push a campaign or whatnot, because at the end of the day, I know that acting alone is not going to feed my family. I know that Sans Group alone is not going to feed my family. So it's a way of looking at how can I make money elsewhere. And it's purely business. Like that's why I can say I spend 4 hours a day on it, because that's the amount of time I've allocated for this particular business, you know, and I know, cool, this is where I spend my first 30 minutes. Then I spend another 30 minutes at this time of the day, then another, and then another. So, and that's why I don't post this whole thing of content. Yes, cool, you gotta have content. But for me, it's very strategic, and so far it's working. But the thing about the drug is why I made it a business. Because once it becomes personal, then all of a sudden you post something, you are expecting to get maybe, let's just say 20,000 likes. And then you get 5,000 likes. Now all of a sudden, you're not feeling too good. Now you even want to delete that post and post another one, you know, and I'm just, I'm not about that.
Add an extra filter onto it.
Yeah, you know, I'm not about that. I'm not about that. So, yeah, it's very, very business driven, and it helps me stay sane, and it helps me stay focused as well. So, and that's also what I try and tell people, like, be aware, because there's many other people who are doing it as a business. Some people are not even posting for themselves. yet you're receiving that as a personal thing. It's like, yo, man, there's so many misconceptions. It's scary. It's so scary.
That's true. That's very
it's
scary.
so scary.
Yeah. In terms of, the social media conversation has been happening all around the world, etc. In terms of using it for business, what you use it for, what would you advise a young person who's trying to use social media for business? Because I think a lot of people are starting to go into that. They're starting to realize that if they've got a talent, they can't just dance at home.
Right.
They need to actually get out there, get someone to see them and actually go forth. And people are now starting to realize that they can leverage it for their personal brands, their business brands, etc. What advice would you give somebody who's trying to do that?
I think it's a very cliche one, but I think it rings truth. Be authentic. Like, be true to who you are. Don't see Hungani's page and be like, yeah, I'm gonna start posting like that. I'm gonna do stuff that resonates with you, because people wanna get to know you. Well, you. So it helps when you're being yourself, because if you're gonna try post like Mpho posts or like Hungani posts, you're just gonna find yourself struggling and things won't move in the momentum that you thought they would move. But the minute, and this happened with me even, like at first I thought, okay, I'm gonna start posting like this one particular dancer. This is what I'm gonna start doing. There was no traction. Things were not, okay, cool. Let me focus on acting since I'm more in the acting space anyway. Then I chose an actor. I was like, cool, I'm gonna start posting like, eventually I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do me. Screw all of this. And then things changed. So I definitely believe in being authentic. People are hungry for realness, man. Like, we just need to be real and like just be yourself, because that's the best version you can be, you know? So, it's easier said than done, you know, because there's so many things that push us into a direction of not wanting to be ourselves, because we either don't feel like we're enough, or we deserve whatever we have, or we're worthy of whatever. So it takes a person who trusts who they are, who believes who they are, who knows who they are to be able to be authentic. And it's a process.
It's a process, definitely. 18 years old, you jump over to LA, you're studying, you're following your passion. What would you say is the biggest difference when you look at, yourself, someone who studied in LA, and somebody else who hasn't studied in LA but is in the same industry? Do you see the difference? Do you see the added skills that you have? Do you see the added advantage that you have? Or do you...
I wouldn't say there's a difference. Like, if someone studied here in SA as opposed to outside of South Africa, I honestly don't see a difference. The principles are the same. The foundation of the work is the same. All that is different is basically location, and I guess opportunity to some degree. But in terms of if there's like a straight cut difference, there really isn't. Aside from like obviously the resume, when you look at it, mine will have something that says LA, yours will have Johannesburg or whatever. And mine might look a little more enticing to an average person as compared to the other. But honestly speaking, there's really no difference.
And you don't think the exposure plays a role, like the fact that you've been exposed to the hub of the entertainment, or rather the place where a lot of entertainers...
You see, here's the thing. So me going to LA, I was like very excited. And not to take excitement away from anybody that wants to go to LA, like it's exciting.
Stay home.
But like the idea and notion I had of LA and Hollywood and all Beverly Hills and all of that was what we see in the movies. And the minute I got there, I was just like, it's not the same. It's not the same. Okay, so it's like Joburg. It's also real. Like, it's not, oh, okay. And like from that moment on, I just realized, I need to put in even more work, because I'm a foreigner. I sound differently. The minute I arrive to an audition and there's 500 other black guys, those are all African Americans and they're looking for an African American. So whomst am I amongst the peoples who is South African with a name like Hungani to walk into an audition room where they're looking for a Daquan, and I must now try and pretend I've got this American accent amongst 499 other Americans, so like it's great, don't get me wrong, it's great for teaching you like how to work hard and fend for yourself and stuff like that, but it's really not the grass is greener on the other side. I honestly am a firm believer that the grass is greener where you water it. And if you go overseas and you decide, cool, I'm going to water the grass, whether it's in the UK, the US, wherever it is, then the grass will be greener eventually at some point. But I just, in my 3 years there, was like, I've tried enough with the manure and stuff. I'm just going to go back where I know the texture of the grass. And I can manipulate the grass to be greener sooner than where.
I mean, also there's potential for the grass to be greener because I mean, the class is already there.
Yeah.
Everything's already.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking business opportunities there. There was just trying to get work as a dancer and as an actor, which I had a few things, but it was never anything that was like, cool, this is good enough for me to stay here.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, my parents were still supporting me, which is a lot of money to be sending over because of the exchange rate. So like also that's playing on my mind, like at some point you need to like help your parents out, dude. Like they can't keep just, so like coming back for me, as much as it wasn't like my first choice, but after coming back the first 2 months, because I came back August 2015, I landed on the 2nd of August. I registered Sands Group on the 17th of August to show you like how the minute I came back, I was already thinking, okay, cool, what am I going to do here? How am I going to,
Yeah.
So it's honestly, I guess it's also as a person, like what you like and stuff like that, because also if you have a manager who's got connections, then that will definitely help you overseas. That's how most of the South African actors are now managing to infiltrate that space, which is amazing. So it's, as a person, you just need to decide for yourself, but do research. Do your research. Know what you're going into, because you're going into a world where everyone around the world wants to be in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You're not the only person. So now you're in a space where there's like millions of people in this industry, yet only 10% are working. And as the global world, we only know a 1%. So now you want to infiltrate that space and get to that 1%. As compared to in South Africa, there's about 5,000 actors in South Africa. And out of that 5,000, we know a handful, right? So now if you're not even known here, like do you see like the different and not to say you can't infiltrate and be that 1%, it's just how will you work that out? Because if you can do your research and then you can have a game plan, you can do it same way as you can do it here. So it's just you just got to choose, man. Just got to choose, lay your bed and lay in it. Yeah.
Talking about acting, I mean, I read somewhere that you'd actually like to play the role of a serial killer.
Yes. Oh, I got too excited. Sorry.
The excitement.
I would love to.
Did you watch The Joker?
Oh, man. No, I haven't watched it. I was speaking to someone about it last week, actually.
You haven't? Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
They recommended me to go and watch it.
Why would you want to play serial killer? What's very
I think the mind of a serial killer is something I would like to explore, because for me with acting, I am really curious about like how people think and how people process things, because when a serial killer is being a serial killer, they don't think they are doing something bad. So I would love to understand how you get to that train of thought. what life experience do you go through, or what is it that makes you believe you're doing something right or something that is just?
And how would you go about it as an actor? Would it you sort of reading about it, watching? How would you get to that point?
Online research, see if there's articles out there, watching documentaries. There's a lot of documentaries on online platforms. I've visited a few prisons in SA. In fact, I'm going to one in June again, and being able to speak to some of the men that have been murderers, or like seeing how they got to that point. It's scary, man. Like my first time at this one prison in just outside of Pretoria, that experience when you just like, for a fact that this man has killed more than 6 people, and he's justifying that to you. Yeah.
Are you not afraid that you might go too far?
No. Not with the process that I use. My actor's process is very specific to who I am and what I know I can handle and what I can't. Because
do you find traits of the characters that you play in?
Oh yeah, that's inevitable. If I mean, this is just my opinion, but if you ever play a character and you can't find any similarities with yourself, then there's something going wrong. Not to say that I'm a serial killer, but maybe the serial killer's motive is love. I also know what love is, So like, there's bound to be somewhat of similarities. At the end of the day, we're all human, and we all have certain things that we can relate to. So yeah, but going too far, nah.
I've always found it to be a very intense sort of concept to understand, because I would think that if you're dating an actor or you're with an actor, you don't know if you're fighting the act, like with the character.
Like, when are you or
and sometimes or like with the person, be like, you know what, right now I need to channel in that character that I once played, and then.
Nah, I mean, I don't know if you other actors out there are doing this, but that doesn't happen. I don't take my work home with me, because acting it's my work, and I don't even know or see how that could possibly pan out. That would be borderline very strange, if I must say. No, that would be very weird. That would be very weird. I wouldn't know if I can trust that person.
That person at all.
So
We're going to do a couple of rapid fire questions.
Okay.
And I mean, the intention here is just for you to answer from the top of your head.
Is it like yes, no?
Not really. They're very tough questions.
Okay.
But we just want to hear what comes up first in your mind. You ready?
I guess, yeah.
Are you more of a hunter or a gatherer?
Hunter.
What's your favorite 90s jam? Wait, you're too young. Too young for that, right?
Favorite 90s? Oh, no.
Favorite 2000s.
It's pure surprise. I don't know who the artist is, but it's like a house jam. I think I'm not. Is it a 2000s or 90s? Pure surprise. Go check Pure Surprise out.
Pure Surprise. Okay, cool. What are the top 5 things on your wish list currently?
Paying off the house, paying off the cars, having a Sands Group official property like that we own, being able to host workshops around the whole country, and staying in love with Stephanie.
Impressive. What's your best childhood memory?
Best childhood memory. Haze of You. We used to live on like this corner street, and like our house had a driveway that like goes down, and I used to come on that black scooter thingy, and from the street into our driveway and go down, and like there's like a corner from the what do you call it? Is it a veranda? The patio thingy. Yeah, the stoop. So I would always like just skid through that corner, and my mom was like always like trying to stop me, shouting at me because she was afraid I was gonna hit the corner one day. That was pretty cool. That was fun.
Okay,
Good
cool.
times. No worries.
What personality trait has gotten you into the most trouble?
Being too concerned about people. Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you've received?
Do this from my dad. Do your best and God will do the rest.
What's the most beautiful place you've ever been to?
I would say for now, Clarence.
Do you feel like a leader or a follower?
Definitely a leader.
When you're having a bad day, what do you do to make yourself feel better?
Either listen to some gospel or I'll call Stephanie.
Would you rather be uncontrollably laughing for the rest of your life or uncontrollably crying?
Crying, because that could be from sadness, joy, frustration. It has a whole range. Laughter's on its own.
Cake or pie?
Cake.
What's the right age to get married?
There isn't.
If you had to live in a different country, what country would it be?
Iceland.
If you could shop for free at one store, which one would you choose?
Shop for free. Woolworths.
What?
Yeah, that's our groceries, bro.
What talent do you have that most people don't know about?
I'm really good at braaiing.
It's a good talent.
I think people know pretty much everything I do. But yeah, like every time there's a braai, I'm the master.
So you know how to get the chicken right, even if it's not like pre-cooked or whatever.
In fact, I don't like it pre-cooked because then I can't braai it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no one's ever found blood in your chicken.
Mm-mm.
Okay, this is good.
Never dry, steak not dry. I did is it a fillet or
Filet?
Yeah, filet. So I did one. It was pretty big. My first one actually about 3 weeks ago, and it was like just like medium to well, but like on the medium side.
Okay.
And it was soft. It was tender.
I always have my meat well done.
So I do too. I'm not a filet person, but it was requested, and yeah, they happened to enjoy it. So yeah.
What's Hungani's vision for the future? I mean, people talk about Vision 2020, but I wouldn't want to be.
I mean, I really just want to continue growing as like honest and authentic as I possibly can, and work on my relationship with God a lot more, because that sometimes takes its hits. And I think like just to try and be an all-rounded kind of person, so that like I'm not neglecting family, I'm not neglecting friends, I'm not neglecting work, and I'm not neglecting self. So that honestly is aside from like business stuff and career and all of that, I just want to be able to have a balance with those different sections, because like last year my friendships took a toll, man. Like, yeah, like I was just telling you about Magali, like like that relationship took a massive toll, and like I just really want to work on that. So making sure I'm connected with my cousins and my aunts and uncles and my friends, whether it's old friends, new friends, working on myself, making sure I'm well and my mental state is good, my physical state is good, my emotional state is good, making sure that my relationship with Stephanie is good, and I, like just prioritizing those things, because aside from business and stuff, that stuff comes and goes. And these are the people that
remain the core.
you celebrate with, you cry with, you hurt with, you happy with. So if these people are not taken care of, then all of this stuff is null and void, because then who are you going to enjoy it with? You know, so that is honestly my vision for the future.
And if you had to give words of advice for a young person watching who's like, I look up to Hungani, I want to do what he's doing one day, what would you say to that young person?
Trust yourself and be true to yourself. Don't lie to yourself, and give it all you got. You know, don't wait for someone to give you an opportunity. Don't wait for someone to say, this is how you do it. Don't wait for someone to give you validation. Like, it's honestly up to you, and it goes a long way, because there'll be people who will come and say you're good, and then there'll be people who will come and say, yeah, you're okay. You know, but if you know, like, deep down inside, yo, I've put in my hours, I know how many times a day I train, I know I'm eating right, I know I'm doing this, I know I'm doing that, you're good. You're good.
Wow. Yeah. It's been an amazing and a very authentic interview with Hungani. I believe you guys have learned a lot and taken a lot of different nuggets out of his story that are really inspirational. Thank you so much for tuning in, and see you next time.